Hey everyone, we're at PAX West 2017 looking at a new mouse and keyboard from Logitech, both of which are wireless. This is the G603, and I also have the G613 keyboard next to me, but we're starting with the mouse because it's got a few changes from what we've seen previously, primarily in the form of the sensor, which is the new Hero sensor. Before getting to that, this coverage is brought to you by the EVGA 1080 Ti SC2 and NVIDIA Destiny 2 bundle running up through September 4th. The 1080 Ti SC2 comes with asynchronous fan control for its dual fans, 9 thermal sensors, and again includes Destiny 2. Learn more at the link in the description below. So for the mouse, the G603, I want to address a rumor first off. When this was announced, there was a rumor going around that if you removed the battery, because you can actually do that and still use it, it would have lower performance. The thing is, these batteries run in parallel. They're not serial. So because they run in parallel, you've got an interesting solution to weight. If you think it's too heavy, you take a battery out and you lose however much that weighs, 15 grams, something like that. Now it technically offsets the center of balance a little bit, or center of mass, but in terms of performance, the sensitivity is going to be the same, the report rate is going to be the same, everything will behave the same on the performance side, you just lose half your capacity. So if you don't want half the capacity but you're good on the weight side, then there's your solution, but that's just to address the rumor. So in terms of accessing it though, it's a magnetic setup, you just pull the body off and it comes off just like that. The spring retention or spring tensioning system's on the underside. We have B-roll of it if you want to see it, and we've talked about it before in more detail with some of the power play coverage, the G900 coverage, things like that. The mouse, interestingly, it's got 2 switches on the bottom. One's a wireless and one's a Bluetooth, and the other one's a high and a low speed. For the wireless and Bluetooth sensor, this may interest people who have seen our recent Synergy ads as an alternative to that. You can switch to wireless if you want to use it on your performance gaming PC, for example. Behaves the same as the light speed sensor in the G900, so faster or as fast as a wired device in terms of input latency and response. Or you switch to Bluetooth mode and it can connect to another system. So you're still running the different host OSs, the mouse isn't moving between systems, there's no cross-file transfer, things like that, but you can run one keyboard mouse without a KVM, without an over-the-network software solution, and just switch between Bluetooth and wireless. So I thought that was an interesting use case for our audience. In our own use, we could use it between the render machine and the compression machine. In gamer use, you'd use it between gaming and streaming boxes, and that would probably be the main use case, just switch between them. Now for the Hero sensor, the big number they're giving us here is 17,000 FPS. So that's, to give some perspective, the 3366 I'm pretty sure is a 12K FPS sensor, but the bigger difference is that the form of tracking for the Hero sensor is continuous, so it should adjust on the fly. Now it's not going to adjust to the level of single FPS numbers, it's still steps, but it should adjust on the fly continuously for the frame rate, which that number changes based on how fast you're moving. So if you're like Counter-Strike player doing flick of the wrist movements, you'll be closer or at that 17K max number versus Office is much lower. The 3366 is a 12K FPS sensor and it adjusts in steps or increments. So rather than the continuous adjustment, it might be X thousand, Y thousand, Z thousand. We don't know the exact numbers, but that's the main difference. From what we've been told, there's no appreciable, noticeable difference between the sensors in terms of performance. You can probably find them if you set it up to a machine, but you're not going to be able to appreciate them in general as a user. The high and low speed switch, so low speed changes the response from 8 milliseconds, or from 1 millisecond to 8 milliseconds. So if you go into low speed, you're at 8 milliseconds, uses a lot less power, but I mean, that's the advantage. It's supposed to be about 3 times more battery life from what they tell us. And if you go into high speed, it's 1 millisecond. Performs as normally expected, 500 hours of use, continuous, non-stop. Put it on a dolly over a service, and that's what you get. And that should be 4 to 6 months in terms of actual user use cases. The keyboard is next. So the mouse is 70, the keyboard's 150. Neither of these use the new PowerPlay module that we show with our PowerPlay and G903 review coming up after the show, but they're both wireless. Keyboard runs on AA's as well, mouse runs on AA's, and they accept either alkaline, lithium ion, all the normal stuff. The keyboard also has the Bluetooth and wireless switching that the mouse has. They do run on different receivers, so you plug the receiver in just like this, and you'd run one for each device if you wanted that setup. Switches, it's got Romer G switches, so they're Logitech's version of mechanical switches. We've covered them in the past. They feel similar to the brown switches with a rubber O-ring on them, if you're wondering what they feel like. The keyboard itself, normal set of keys, not TKL. It's got media buttons, it has a game mode switch, and it's got the wireless and Bluetooth switches. The AA batteries are expected to last something like 18 months. I asked, that's not a continuous use, that's gaming and office use every day. We don't know how many hours or anything like that, but basically it's a simulated use case. 18 months is what they're projecting. The mouse, as I said, 500 hours continuous, 4 to 6 months otherwise with high speed, and then 3 times that with low speed. I think that pretty much covers it. So that's what we know right now for the G613 and G603. We'll have additional coverage throughout the show. Be sure to subscribe for that. Check the website for more, gamersnexus.net. And if you'd like to help us out directly, as always, patreon.com/gamersnexus, or just subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.